Welcome to another installment of Cooking Kids. I'm Noctula Mdlalose. In case it's your first time watching this is a platform. I don't like calling it a channel. It's a platform where we share, engage, um, get each other thinking about parenting, raising children, what goes into that, coupled with um, the cooking aspect of it, the diet, the food, the meals that we decide on preparing for them, and anything and everything in between and outside of that, the whole parenting aspect, be it you're a caregiver, you are the parent, just raising children. Today, let me first start off with a point of correction or emphasis. I'd like to believe that I am a good listener. So, first installment of Cooking Kids, dear friends and fellow parents spoke to me, shared what that session invoked in them, and I listened and I heard you. One of the things that came out was uJoji ungibambile. uh, in my introduction, I said I'm unmarried, and my aunt was so silent that it sounded like I'm saying I'm married. Anyway, I am not married. I've never been married. Just to emphasize, make sure there's no confusion there. Thank you. Moving along, the other thing that got me thinking from some of the comments that came back from that first installment of Cooking Kids was the the emotion that was brought on by that conversation I had about single parenting. It led me to think, maybe let's just today get into the kind of parenting that one decides to venture into, or one finds themselves doing, the manner, the routes that one takes in raising their children. One thing for sure, though, no one can argue that how we were raised, regardless of how old you are, but as a parent, if you're a parent now, whether to a little one, a teen, a grown up, but how you were raised is completely different to how you are raising yours, or how you've been raising yours. Times have changed, which means also the manner in which we do things. You might be influenced by how you were raised to parent the way you're parenting, or divert from how you were raised and do complete opposite, but also motivated by how you were raised. Maybe you might not have liked the manner in which you were brought up and kind of vowed, which is something that some of you parents out there shared with me, that how you were raised actually motivated you to ensure that you do not instill such values to your children. It motivated you to ensure that you are the complete opposite of what you experienced as a child. So I thought maybe let's get into what kind of parent are you? When I say what kind of a parent are you the hardcore, strict kind of parent? Are you the overly protective, always my little baby, or the cheerleading, supporting, a encouraging parent, like, yeah, let's do this, everything you want to do, let's venture into it together type of thing, or you that let's talk about, let's engage, I mean, in everything that you're thinking of exploring. I'm open to everything. Well, I gotta say, as for myself, I once was that hardcore strict parent, you know. As much as I was fun in games, but very hardcore and strict. When I mean that, I was that parent who would smack their child if they're not doing things the way I'm telling them, or I feel like they're being unruly. Smack them without thinking twice about it. You know, naughty corner and different kinds of punishment was not my way of doing things, because it was just instinctive, because I was raised like that, smacked. You know, corporal punishment was just the norm in my family, in my upbringing. So I also had that, but I quickly did some introspection. I took a step back. There was an incident where I smacked my son, and he turned a bit red. I think it was on his arm. I smacked him. I think I really must have smacked him hard. He turned a bit red for a little while, and that scared me. You know, it shook me. That I think I was just driven by anger more than anything. As a parent, one would know. One would know that if there's one thing that these little people that we adore and love so much, one thing that they can do so well is press those buttons. They know how to press those buttons. They know how to take us from one extreme to the other extreme in an instant, you know, from just adoring them to loving them to another extreme of frustration and all that, just by their action, you know. Anyway, so you'd find that emotions can get the better out of you, and that happened with me. And he was still fairly young. I took a step back, and I thought to myself, I asked myself as to, is this how I want to do it? Is this working for me and my child? Smacking him around in order to get the point across. Is this how I want to do things? And I decided no. So it was at that point where I decided to do things differently. I honestly, I can't say I've mastered the craft of managing to control my emotions, or even get my child in line every time I want them, using whatever method or methods in terms of a deterrent or punishment, without having to smack them. I honestly, I can't say I have mastered that, but from that day I took a stance that I will not smack my kids. I raise my voice, of course, but I just I don't do it. So in that process of self-reflecting, taking a step back, I also decided, also looking at the world that we live in now, you know, the way things are happening, with information being readily available at our disposal. Us and even kids, you know, everything just being out there in the open. Unlike when we were growing up, there was a veil of secrecy, was just shoo, was all around us. Yeah, there were a lot of things that we are not aware of, we were not exposed to. Unlike our kids now, they're exposed to just about anything and everything. So I decided I want to be that parent. I want to be that parent who the child would run to for anything and everything, even the most awkward of things. So I started having conversations about his body, his growth, his development as a man, as a human being, his emotional maturity from a very young age, and also his ability to be a to be aware of the world that exists around him, the world, including the people, the different kinds of people that exist around him in his world, which he will cross paths with, regardless of the environment that I've set up, that I'm giving him in the house. Because no child can spend their whole lifetime in the house alone. They go out for different reasons. It's just a given, it's reality. So it's those conversations that I started having with him from a tender age. So he's mindful of all those things, and also to kind of open the door for when he feels at a loss or confused or has questions about anything and everything, that he feels comfortable. It feels easy and natural enough for him to come to me about it. You know what I mean? Instead of any other stranger, honestly. So it's not an easy one, honestly, because there are preconceived um things that you have in your mind, mannerisms, or ways that you wanna groom your child, raise your child from your childhood as well. The sensitivity around the sex talk or the sexual talk, the sensitivity around the experiment with uh, different kinds of drugs. You know what I mean? So it's not easy having to engage about certain talks or topics or issues without sounding like an overly protective parent or paranoid parent or scared parent, because certainly that will put the child off from being open and honest with you when they sense that you are there. So it's still a battle to kind of balance a being a parent, a strict parent, where there are boundaries of which I do lay down. Of course, children will be children. They always try to push those boundaries a bit and see how far they can go. That, and also being that open-minded, engaging parent. Some other people will say you're trying to now be a friend, of which you can be a parent and a friend, and make it work for the child, for the future of the child. And I completely agree with that. But uh, hear me here correctly. I know that people who kind of mastered that have found that balance of doing that. But I think you need a bit of the different things to kind of channel the child to get them within the boundaries, and while giving them the platform to explore in a responsible manner, to be themselves within those boundaries without fear of being judged or being punished per se, but also knowing their boundaries. I might sound like I'm going in circles, or I am contradicting myself. It's not an easy, easy path to churn, honestly. I think for me, I find straddling different paths as a parent, raising my kids. I can't say I'm this kind of parent. One, I can't define myself as one thing, but I'm multifaceted, and I like this actually about myself because I'm of the view that no individual is just one thing. We're multifaceted. So how can you now treat this little being that you growing into a multifaceted, unique human being in one formula? Honestly, it's very difficult in one channel. It's quite tricky. So I find myself having to struggle the different paths as a parent towards tuning this little one to be a grown up, a functional, fully functional grown up in society. Tricky. I'd love to hear how you're doing it. Like I said, this is a platform where we're sharing. This is a platform we get each other thinking, get each other to self reflect. Take a step back, look at how you've been doing things, see if maybe you could be doing it differently, you could be improving, changing it somehow for the better. And for the better is not for better for you. It's a better for the person that you're raising, because you are imparting to them, for them to be empowered, to be a, a worthwhile adult in society, because you don't know how long you're going to be around, and you don't want to be parenting an adult still, you know what I mean? This child of yours, they're all grown up adult now, yet you are still parenting them like little ones, because you you just never empowered them to be able to do this thing called life on their own. They always have to lean on you, even when they're at their prime as adults. They're still leaning on you like some little child, because you've enabled that. You didn't give them that sense of empowerment to trust, believe, and know themselves that they can do this thing and do it right as adults, you know. So it's not an easy one. Do share what this conversation brings to you, what you regard yourself as a parent. What kind of parent are you? Yeah, quite a tricky topic, eh? Remember, you find me on Facebook, Nokuthula Mdlalose, with this face, remember. And like the page, leave your comment there. Don't worry, I'm very thick skinned. I'd love to hear what you're gonna say. I won't take it personal, I promise. Leave your comment. Let's engage. Let's share as parents. There's no formula to this thing. There's no manual. So the more we share, the better we become as parents. Till next time, keep your head up. Remember to always love the ones dear to you. Bye.